Leaders are made, but rulers are born. A leader must have empathy. As a leader, I know your capacity. Either if I'm not seeing it, then something is wrong. I won't punish you because you're not delivering. I'd rather find out what's happening because I need to support you to get at your best. Most rulers don't care. They just say, why is this job not done? You are sacked. That's a ruler. You can't feel the team member. You can't get to know the team member. A leader that is not trusted, people would like not follow. A good leader needs to know when to use democracy, use autocracy. Hello, let me loud it clear. Autocracy and use laissez-faire. There is times you need to let your team members do things their way so that you learn from them. There are times you have to say deadline is tomorrow or paper must be in. If you don't bring it in, there are consequences. But there are times you have to say, okay, what do we do? The papers are coming in next week. What do we do? You share opinions of the... But when people abuses democratic process, then you tell them that a leader is one that sees the vision, that knows the path to go, and get everybody on track to go there. If you're not going, you drop off the bus.
Hello and welcome to this podcast session on leadership tips. My name is Tracy Ihezai. Thanks for joining us. Leadership Tips is a podcast designed to reshape leadership narratives. Through engaging discussions with thought leaders and seasoned professionals, this podcast aims to transform mindset, challenge outdated norms, influence policy, and inspire a new generation of transformational leaders. So whether you're a young professional at the start of your career, an entrepreneur building your business, or an experienced manager that is leading a team, this podcast is your go-to resource for practical leadership insight. Today's podcast is focused on qualities of a leader. Sit, relax, and enjoy the conversation. According to John Maxwell, a leader is the one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. So today, I'm joined by Mr. Austin Aigbe on leadership tips to discuss the qualities of a leader. So, Mr. Austin, let me get your reaction to John Maxwell's definition of who a leader is. A leader knows the way, shows the way, and also leads the way.
And above all, he also talked about influence. A leader influences others to follow. Beyond just showing the way, is a capacity for others to follow that path that has been shown. Yes, John Maxwell is a nugget in leadership.
So you agree that, that sums up the qualities of a leader?
Beyond others.
Okay.
That is like the foundation. A leader shows the path to follow. In some cases, a leader doesn't need to show the path. Followers show the path. But the influence of the leader helps to follow the path that is already seen. So it's not all the time that the leader has to show the path. No. A good leader will always tap into the resilience and capacity of his followers, knowing the team dynamics and put them through. But at the end of the day, the leader said, this is a path to follow. And all team members sees that path and we all follow through.
All right. So some persons believe that leadership is innate, while other people believe that leadership is developed. What is your take on that?
They're both. There are certain human capacity that you call trait, behavioral trait. Max Weber, all the theories of X, Y, and all of that talked about innate capacity. There are some innate things that you have. There's something that look like, you can call it empathy. There are some folks, no matter what you do, empathy is never found in them. While there are others, empathy is domiciled, like innate capacity to do things. However, usually we try to differentiate between a ruler and a leader. I'll say that leaders are made, but rulers are born. What do I say this? Traditional rulers, for instance. I'm from Benin, and I understand that from historical perspective, that the Oba of Benin is already known. He's born a leader, unless he dies before coronation. There's nothing you can do about it. It's going to emerge as the next Oba if eventually, like I said, if he's alive.
Yeah.
But no matter what I do, go and learn all the philosophical, go and read all the books on leadership. You can never become an Oba. So that's traditional, and we call that ruler. So even though rulers can also develop to the point of becoming leaders, but leaders are developed. You build it over time. Even when it's innate, you still have to develop it to use it appropriately, because it's not all the time that a leader is always known. I always have this argument, even though I don't know what in the course of this conversation. There are leaders who don't really have to be called leaders. Leadership is not title. Leadership is what you do per time, particularly when there's something that has to be done. You can have the title leader, and the main leader in the group will be the last man. A leader is one who just utilize the opportunity and find a pathway to go.
All right. So which is better? Now we have looked at the difference because you said leaders are born. Rulers are born and leaders are made, right? So who do you think in these two categories will make a better leader?
Of course, a leader who has
been developed.
Yeah, because when people hear me talk about ruler, they can tell you, after all, there are military rulers. Yeah, because in the democratic architecture, of course, this is a development dynamics a studio. In democracy or in rulership, you have authoritarian and all of that, which of course embed into leadership. When someone is known from the credo, in fact, you see, like I used the word just now, the Oba Benin or among others, the day they are born, they start calling them their titles. But when you and I were born, they just gave birth to us. We develop our potential to become now the leader who we are. And the leadership in us kept developing. Because today, you are in this position now. You don't know what holds for tomorrow. The more you develop yourself, the more responsibility are given to you in your office space, the more you grow in that ladder. I'm not sure the time you came to your organization, you came in to perform this role. You developed it. And possibly there are those who are just boom, and they see everybody is shouting, happy because a new ruler. They will call them leader because they say, an Oba is a leader. But I'm saying that we must differentiate between that one that is born. If it doesn't develop the leadership quality in him, of course, in her, is going to be a very bad leader.
Okay, yeah, talking about development, I know you're talking about developing your capacity as an individual that is serving under that leadership position. So in your own submission, what do you think are the core characteristics that a leader should have?
So you just said something about leadership position, and I said that being issue, that leadership sometimes don't put leaders into position. Don't box a leader in a position. You make the leader not being able to develop his attributes. That is, again, don't forget, innate capacity, behavioral traits that go with every human being. Why do I say this? If you are executive director, that's the position. You are meant to do certain fundamental roles embedded in your theory or your theory. But in that same organization, there is a one who is supposed to be at the gate, to open the gate for people to come in. That's a leader. If there are things that have to happen that will be negative, in fact, some negative externality in the organization, you need to rely on that fellow at the gate. You need to show the path to follow because he or she knows the path to follow. So that because you're executive director in an office, you jump in. No, wait. Everybody, wait. Don't move. There may be catastrophe. So you need to rely on that fellow within the team. That's what I'm saying. Don't box a leader. So the characteristics, straight to your point, is one, integrity. A leader without integrity is almost becoming like a leader must have empathy, ability to look at the team member and know the capacity domiciled in that team member. We all have that trait. For instance, there is the one who can hold the camera very well. That fellow may not be the one who manned the studio or who woman the studio. There is a one who can operate the computer very well. That fellow may not be the one who went to computer school. There is a one who can do research. Talking about field research, isn't the one who probably has gone for PhD. It's just something by experience and by the things you do and the people you follow, your mentors and all of that, the books you read and all that. So one, integrity, a leader that is not trusted, people would like not follow. Empathy, a leader that cannot see, to even know what the team member is going through. See, let me tell you something. There's a way I look at your face, I know what's happening. As a leader, because I've worked with you for maybe 1 year, 2 years or something, I know your capacity. Either if I'm not seeing it, then something is wrong. I won't punish you because you're not delivering. I'd rather find out what's happening because I need to support you to get at your best. Most rulers don't care. They just say, why is this job not done? You are sacked. That's a ruler. It doesn't even feel, it can't feel the team member. It can't get to know the team member. And above all, the third one will be the vision. A leader must have a vision. He's a visioneer. A leader sees where team members don't see. And I say, again, the leader doesn't have to be the chief executive officer. But in an hierarchy structure, yes, we can follow those leadership and hierarchy and all of that. But in the context of discussion of leadership, we are all leaders in a team.
In our capacity. All right. So I from your submission, I have two concerns. Number one, it's that example that you gave about the executive director of an organization and the security man. So some persons will want to argue that, okay, yes, not trying to underplay the role of the security man who mans the gate, but also you can't categorically say that a security man is a leader. He may have some form of experience on the job that he's been assigned to do. But the executive director, you've talked about vision, the executive director has the vision. He knows where he wants to take the organization to, and he knows exactly what to do. So some persons may argue that, okay, yes, the security man is a team member in all of this, but he's not necessarily a leader in that sense of the word.
So what you just define as hierarchy. A leader is someone who has integrity, he has empathy, he has vision. And what you are indirectly telling me that the man at the gate or the woman at the gate doesn't have vision. So let me give you a story. I mean, this will help to change those perspectives of folks who think otherwise. There is this company that uses that develop toothpaste. Every time their customers, business partner comes to buy those toothpaste, they discover that the toothpaste, if you press it, is not pulling out properly. So it was changing the way people like the product. Soon after, there was another product in the market who opened up the mouth to be able to press properly. And all those complaints were at the gate. The gate man knew everything as complaint. One day, the company was already snow diving, almost getting to the point of closure to declare bankruptcy. And as they were meeting at their board meeting, the gate man came and said, sir, I have something to say. They said, no. What do you have to say? So the leader there, a leader, identified that capacity and said, no, allow him, come. He said, sir, the reason why they are not buying our product is this. Sir, are you sure? I said, yes. So why do we need to close? Let's try it for another 1 month. They opened it up. Before you know what's happening, they jacked back to business and got promoted from the gate to the inside. So it's one who shows the path. So don't ever undermine the capacity of your team members, even if it's a driver. The driver is the one that takes you to where you are going. If that driver wants to stop you on the Third Mainland Bridge, then you know the capacity of the driver. Everybody, your cook. If you put something on your food, then you know the capacity of the cook. Everyone is a leader. It depends on the position you are now holding. For instance, at home, there is a husband and a wife. Are you saying they are not both leaders? They are both leaders.
Does it depend on the position? Because you also said that leadership is not about position.
Yes.
Would we rather put it that it's about responsibility and duties, not about position? Because I also hear you say leadership is not about position.
I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that there are duty-bound leaders, and I'm very categorical with saying, I use the word TOR. For instance, if I'm appointed as program officer of this organization, there are roles assigned to me. I must meet up those roles for performance evaluation. Those are static. But I'm saying that if I undermine my team members, because if I'm program manager, for instance, I have program officers, maybe I have program assistants, the solution to a particular thing that we are doing may lie in the lowest person in the team. As a leader, again, I recognize that we are all leaders, just that there are positional leadership that puts me ahead. But that solution to that thing that needs to be done may just come from a program assistant. If you undermine it, failure is bound. So I'm saying generally, leadership goes beyond titles. It's actually innate that you develop to become a good one, irrespective of your position. And I use you as an example. I say, when you started this job, apparently you were not sitting like this. You develop to become
Over time.
this individual that you are.
Yeah, so I hear you say one of the core qualities of a leader is empathy. So again, some persons, because empathy is feeling what your team members feel, putting yourself in their position, even though you're the executive director, feeling what the security man or the lowest officer in that. Then again, what is the position? How do you balance empathy with performance? Because some team members might want to take advantage, of the fact that, oh, this is our leader. If I just position my emotions this way, he understands, he sees me, and then take advantage of that particular trait in that leader, in that particular organization. So how do you, as a leader, how do you balance empathy and performance from team members?
So there's nothing like to balance. A leader knows to know his or her team. You know when a team member is not at his or her best. If there are, in quote, what you use, you want to create an assumption so that the leader sees the empathy. It means that you have to continue to do it. Otherwise, if I know that this individual, Tracy is always fantastic at her job. She arrives at duty 5 minutes before start of job. And that has happened for 6 months. And suddenly, Tracy arrived at 10 o'clock. I should sack Tracy? That would be a ruler. That's what I'm saying. There must be something that has happened. First of all, a leader needs to put up a call. Tracy, what's happening? Even if you see Tracy, please come. What happened today? Yet from Tracy. Because Tracy, now tomorrow he come at 10 o'clock. Because he knows that the leader has empathy. Then the day after tomorrow he come at 11 o'clock. Then that's an abuse of process. It's clear. And there are procedures for dealing with such abuses. But I'm saying that you need to understand your team members. And empathy does not mean sympathy. Empathy is a situation where you are able to understand that person that works with you. You know the person's at best. You know the person at a weak point. Talking about a woman, maybe I don't know if it's a good example. There is something that a woman goes through that men don't go through every month. And usually for men who know, when the woman is going through that period, that period of time in a month, there are some things that happen. Every month, if I work with you for 6 months, I will be able to tell when that thing is happening that month. Because there's a slow part sometimes. I will know. That's the leader. The empathy in the leader haven't followed through this individual. And don't forget, we are not all the same. Everyone brings uniqueness to the team. And when one is going back, I will not pity you. I will deal with that issue that is on ground. That may no longer be empathy. That is, now you are going beyond, oh no, leave and associate they do. No, that's sympathy. That's not empathy. We must know the difference. Even though both start with E, they are not the same. Empathy is different from sympathy. Leaders also use sympathy sometimes. Let's watch a while, but it's not a very good one. And that's why I didn't mention it as quality. I talked about empathy. So there are leadership types. There are some who say, you can be democratic, you can be autocratic, you can be laissez-faire. And I say, in all of these three, no matter how good they are, they have their demerits. I study leadership as from my undergrad to my postgraduate studies and all that. That you are a democratic leader. If you mistakenly want to deal with an issue and refuse to deal with it, that office is gone. So a good leader needs to know when to use democracy, use autocracy. Hello, let me loud declare. Autocracy and use laissez-faire. There is times you need to let your team members do things their way so that you learn from them. There are times you have to say deadline is tomorrow or paper must be in. If you don't bring it in, there are consequences. But there are times you have to say, okay, what do we do? The papers are coming in next week. What do we do? You share opinions of the. But when people abuses democratic process, then you tell them that a leader is one that sees the vision, that know the path to go, and get everybody on track to go there. If you are not going, you drop off the bus.
All right, you actually delve into my next question. I will ask anyway, so probably you're just fleshing it up. At what point, as a leader, do you know that, okay, this team member has crossed the line? Because I know I'm also emphasizing on empathy because we've seen things being team members and also being head of, units. if a team member is trying to prove difficult and there are deadlines, especially in this sector where we are, as a leader, what should be the action you should take?
So I will assume that you have done empathy.
Okay.
Because you need to know why that team member is not performing at his or her best. Don't forget, you brought them on board the team specifically for roles to be performed.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are there for roles to perform, like I told you, if I have a TUR as program manager, there are things I need to deliver. If you don't deliver it, there are performance evaluation. And if you evaluate me and I've not delivered on my threshold, there is a door waiting for me to go through. But when I am performing and something happened, I recall one time when suddenly my family had to go on a journey, and they were posted. My wife was posted out of the country, and she had to. I was not left in Nigeria, even though I wanted to follow. So I was trading up between going there and staying. And sometimes the food I used to eat around 7 o'clock, sometimes I eat it 11 o'clock. So those are issues that have to do with morale. And then I now work overtime because I know there's nobody at home. A leader must understand that if I don't come to work early, sometimes it's a part on my early morning arrival at work. And sometimes you go over the 5 p.m. threshold. The leader must understand that this guy is driving himself. Say, how are you doing? Even just simply asking, how's your family? I hope they are okay. Increases the morale of your team member.
Yeah.
Don't ever assume that the team member is wrong. Find out why. They may be wrong because of you. Settle it. It may be a team member who is not willing to speak. A team member, a leader must encourage every team member to be able to speak out. A leader can be wrong. I hope you know that. A leader can be wrong. So if you think that the leader is an offer, it's wrong. A leader may see the vision, but the pathway may be longer to go. Somebody else may it will help see the vision
and identify.
Sir, I think that if we go this way and go straight, we may arrive there. Say, no, it is this path to follow. Another path is wrong. That would be wrong for a leader. A leader must listen. In fact, listening is the capacity that the leader, and a leader must be humble. That does not mean that the leader is, I don't want to use the word fool. Being humble, humility cannot be reversed for foolishness. A leader comes down, I mean the word come down,
from
to team members to be able to flow. And you know what they say? That a leader is a dustbin. It's also not true. A leader is not a dustbin where you drop all trashes. No. A leader is one that comes down to know what's happening. Otherwise, if a leader is a trash can, they will get to a point that the trash can will be full. The leader will not be able to see again.
Okay. So is there any leader that you admire? What qualities do this leader or leaders have?
I have too many leaders.
No, you're going just let's agree. You name just 2.
Maybe even 1.
Okay, fine.
I have too many leaders. Okay, maybe 2. Too many leaders that at some point, many years ago, when I started my non-profit work far back in 1998, while in the university. So I started to follow people, look at people. Then I found this guy. I read about him. His name is Otivie Buzo. I read about him and I started following him. At some point around 2006 or thereabout, I found out he wrote a piece on the national paper. You know, that time, this one is not the social media thing that we just get quickly. And I read that piece. So I started following. It was then an action aid. I was following him. Everything he does. Because I know someone again, Guare and John Umoru, who were my comrades in the university at that time. So they were also somehow a link to him. I started following him. He did not know until a few years ago, until 2019, when I told him the years of following. So you can follow a leader. And why do I follow him? I see his passion. Again, the same passion I've tried to show. You know, leaders eat some. You eat some quality that you find in certain individuals. I found someone, and recently I was having a conversation with him. And he told me, he said, "You see this NGO? I cannot forge receipts. I cannot." And I said, "This is the guy." I didn't tell him, but it just dawned on me that the things I like to see is in this guy. But I started following this leader. you can call it mentor, whatever. But I started following him without him knowing. And this other guy, when my postgraduate, again, I did my postgraduate in the United States. I have a few of those guys who are part of my life. One of them is Paul Farmer, who had done development extensively in a way that he identified with the poor. And that's what began to energize me. If I take decision, I take decision in the interest of the vulnerable group. I take decision in the interest of the poor. I know they are vulnerable. I know they do not have voice. Then I become their voice. If I have opportunity to come in a room where they are not in, I represent. I become that individual. Like Paul said, Paul, scripturally now, it became SYZ to be able to reach those individuals. So you become mechanic to reach mechanic. You become poor to reach the poor. So that is leadership. Leadership is the ability to understand the people you represent and the people you want to work for and get to the level of that. And you know what we usually say in Action Aid then with Dr. Kole Shetima and co. We used to laugh over this phone,
Blueberry.
Is it Blueberry?
Or
right?
Blackberry.
Blackberry, not blue. Blackberry. We used to laugh over Blackberry. That Blackberry was not a pro-poor phone. That you should go and drop it and carry this by phone that has touchlight. That's a pro-poor phone. Because Action Aid is encapsulated in pro-poor philosophy. So that orientation has never left me. Paul Farmer, going down the rural community and meeting needs of people. And of course, maybe just to add one, Mohammed Yunus, who I met in New York. Mohammed Yunus is a Grammy Award who is the microfinance lord in Nigeria, the Grammy Bank executive director. How he went to meet local women and be able to identify with them and reduce the burden that they have through credit. And that I've also learned in someone like Godwin Ogamosoe, who's the owner of Lapo, my very good Oga, if you call it like that. These are people I have followed, and somehow I've met them in this same sector. When you follow, you always meet those you follow at the end of the day.
All right. So you've talked about the persons who have shaped your idea on who a leader should be. Are there books that you read, in the course of this, your journey on leadership that you want to share with us? Books that have also shaped your philosophy and ideology on leadership?
Well, I would say a lot of books, but maybe titles and name may not. Well, first is John Maxwell.
Okay.
Is like the leader in the. If you have not read Maxwell's book, don't just talk about it.
Leadership.
Is that even though it's not the foundation, we have other people who has Rich Dad Poor Dad gave me some insight. What Leaders Eat, I think by Steve something, I've forgotten his name. Then again, John Smoke. John Smoke was my professor. He taught about economic leadership. And that book on economic leadership in the international context. Meanwhile, just to let you know, my postgraduate was in international politics and development. So, of course, what's this other name? Goshman. Goshman developed a strategic framework in his book where he talked about aid development. And of course, Dead Aid by, I forgot the lady's name, Dead Aid in my sector. These guys wrote this book to help me navigate my sector. I wouldn't just read book on leadership. I read book that matches where I'm going. Because I won't go and read, even though I did some conversation maybe with engineering. I know about divide and not divide and rule, the strength of materials and all of that. But those are not my philosophy. I'm not into mathematics or further maths. In fact, by the way, I got 4 over 100 in further maths. So that's not my area. But in my field of study, yes, I've made every attempt to read books like Development as Performer. I've forgotten this topic, this book, very important book. I think I would recommend it. Development as Aid, something like that. It's a fantastic book for those who want to work in the leadership in the non-profit sector. And there are many. I've also read Otivism.
Okay.
And all of that.
All right. Finally, what advice would you give to emerging leaders, those who are aspiring to be leaders in Africa?
You see, Africa is missing on leadership, and those who get themselves into positions of authority are weird in a way, because Africa is suffering from, you can say there's a huge number of leaders in the country, but they are not holding strategic position that will take Africa away from this challenge. But as young Africans, while I was president of the Wagner Student Alliance for Africa in my undergrad studies at the New York University, my pattern was identify people you want to follow their path, go read about them, listen to them when they talk. And that's what has made me to listen to all manner of people, both the ones that I don't agree with and those I agree with, so that I'm able to form an impression. And as young African leaders, the responsibility to learn is yours. Don't transfer it to somebody else. You have the responsibility to know the path where you want to go. If you want to follow the likes of Nkrumah, now late, follow. If you want to follow the path of Julius Nyerere, go and read about it. If you want to follow the likes of Ojukwu, go and read about Ojukwu. Just read about people. But in case you want to follow the living legends, there are many of them. And I recommend you to folks like TV Ebuzo. Dr. TV Ebuzo has written a lot. You don't have to meet him formally. Read about him. And that's how I met him. I knew him online, even though there was no online then. I knew him physically. Go and read about them. Identify people. If you want to read about John Mahama of Ghana, president of Ghana, what did he do? Go and read about it. If you want to read about soft power, like Goodluck Jonathan, go and read about him. Know him. Not just then say, then say is a problem in Africa. I hear say, go and read about it.
All right. So that brings us to the end of this podcast on qualities of a leader. My guest has been Mr. Austin Aigbe. Thanks for joining us on this podcast session.
And awesome time with you.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Leadership Tips. Remember, the greatest leadership is by example. Now, as a leader, you must do, act, say, and be the person you want your team member to be. Leadership is a visual thing. You cannot take others on a journey to an unknown destination. I remain your uncle, Tracy Iheze. Until next time, bye-bye.